Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, the deep state is in a major panic, especially after a report was published by Daniel Coates, who is the Director of National Intelligence, and he has put out this year a declassified threat assessment document. And I'm going to show you that document in a moment. But in that document, probably the most surprising part of it is the fact that they admit that Americans are no longer listening to what the intelligence community has to say, probably because they have, well, let us down so many times, and a lot of what's coming out of the deep state's mouth is just a bunch of non-truths and lies. Well, check out the report, and it was just put out February of 2018, but the report is called the Worldwide Threat Assessment of U.S. Intelligence Community. And again, it was put out by Daniel R. Coate, the Director of National Intelligence, and published on February 2018. So it's a very recent report. But this report, in a nutshell, I'm going to show you the table of contents here, but the entire report, what it does, and it's not a very long report. I've read all of the 30 some odd pages that they have, but it basically tells you what they believe the biggest threats are for 2018. Some of those threats include global and cyber threats, weapons of mass destruction threats. Now, when you scroll down to that section, they specifically reference North Korea as one of the biggest threats there. Also terrorism, specifically from radical Islam, Sunni and Shia Muslims. Counterintelligence and foreign detail and deception. This is in regards to propaganda that Russia is sharing, and how the government, this was an interesting one, can brainwash their people using propaganda. Something that they do ever so clearly here in America with Hollywood, with movies. We don't have to go very far to see some of the television series that is exactly what they're doing. They're pushing big time an anti-gun agenda on a lot of the movies, and they're attempting to use that to brainwash the people. Well, they point this out as a possible threat assessment on a global scale, of course. Other things include emerging and disruptive technology. These are some of the latest and greatest technology. And this one was interesting, space and counter space. Now, this was on the Russia-China race, if you will, to space, and how even though there is a treaty out there, they are attempting to push the lines and get weapons into space. So this is something that for 2018 they find is a real threat. Also, transnational organized crime, that's your typical drugs and whatnot, economics and energy, and then human security. Now, in that human security section, there's a little section called health. And in this health assessment, they believe that there is a very huge possibility at some time in the future. So I don't know if they referenced this yearly, but absolutely they referenced it this year, that there could be a mass pandemic similar to the flu, or worse than that, the H5N1 flu, if you will. I think I'm saying that right. But they say on page 17 that there is major potential for that. So something to keep your heads up. And then they kind of get into the regional areas and what each one has to offer. But probably the most bombshell part or downright admission is what Mr. Coates says in the foreword. And I'll toss that up on the screen. But it says this, and I'm going to quote it directly: challenges from urbanization and migration will persist, while the effects of air pollution, inadequate water, and climate change, which is a lie, on human health and livelihood will become more noticeable. Domestic policies' responses to such issues will become more difficult, especially for democracies, as publics become less trusting of authoritative information sources. Thank you, Mr. Coates. Yes, the American people are becoming less trusting of authoritative sources. That includes the mainstream lying media, who changes the colors of people's skins and put out bogus reports, all scripted. Thank you, CNN. And that includes people in the intelligence community, like just Mr. James Comey, who lies under oath and convicts himself under oath, and yet nobody does anything about it because there's so much power on the side, so much corruption that's being pushed under the rug. And quite frankly, I am done with it. So much is going on in that area that the American people are waking up and taking note. And why? Because they're watching channels like this one, because they're watching other channels out there that actually have the documented information. Like I showed you the actual source, the actual threat assessment document in which they stated that. So I think we have the deep, not only the globalists are on edge, but also the deep state who blatantly and openly publishes a report that says we're getting less trusting of authoritative sources. So thank you. Thank you, the American public. Thank you, you guys, for sharing all the videos and getting the information out. We have to continue to fight on the information war level. We cannot let that slide down because look, we're getting a big pushback. You get things unmonetized. You get, they try to hit the pockets of YouTubers like myself first, but they also go after us in other ways, striking our channel. As you saw just this past week, they struck so many channels that there had to be a public apology from Google to a lot of the YouTubers that were mistakenly taken down because people like you called in. So continue to stand against that. I think we're making headway. I call this a great report in the fact that the American people have woken up to some of the lies and corruption of the intelligence community. And unfortunately, because there is still a lot of threats that face America in 2018, which I encourage everyone to read through that report. I really brisked through it, but I highlighted the things that I thought were important as far as the threats. But again, one of the main threats was weapons of mass destruction from North Korea. They said there, and then some of the possibilities of pandemics. Those were two of the majors. But at least you know what we're looking forward or what is ahead for 2018. Anyhow, please don't forget to check out my partner at Noble Gold Investments. You've got to convert your 401ks to Roth IRAs. You can get them in gold. You can even convert it to a Bitcoin, their IRA, if you will. You can convert it over. So make sure you go to Noble Gold Investments and check out what they have to offer for you because you want something a little more solid. You don't want to keep all your 401k in cash. Let's convert it to gold. Let's convert it to Bitcoin. Lots of ways that you can benefit hugely. So check out Noble Gold Investments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, one last thing, I'm going to be at the Hear the Watchman conference. So if you have not gotten tickets for that yet, you can do so at hearthewatchman with an emen.com. And then you can use the code HAVEN20 for a discount. That's in Dallas, Texas, March 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Or if you can't do that, check out the live stream. You can use the code HAVEN20 for 20% off there as well. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.